Say record. Okay, so we finished out last unit with talking about factoring, which was one way to find your x-intercepts. Okay, so when they ask you to solve a quadratic, you're looking for where it crosses the x-axis. Another way to find this is by using the quadratic formula. So, what does your quadratic formula look like? Does anybody remember what the quadratic formula looks like? You should have done it a little bit in math 1.
I don't know. Hey, in C math.
All right. So, stop. Your quadratic formula looks like this. Negative b plus or minus the square root. Underneath your square root is b squared minus 4 times a times c. Once you get that, we take it and we divide it by 2 times your a value. So it says negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, I will tell you this now. You do not get a formula sheet. This formula, I'm expecting you to memorize. This is what we're going to sing tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to teach you a song to memorize this.
I'm good.
You will have an oral quiz on this next week, where you're each going to step out into the hall with me and have to recite this from memory.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You get punished?
I say it, but I won't say
It's
it.
like a punishment.
That's why I don't mess with y'all. You see or this.
Huh?
Just that. That's all.
Just that.
That's easy.
All you have to do is tell me this from memory.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, most of you are probably looking at this going, what in the heck do I fill in for A, B, and C? Okay. Your A value, remember, your standard form of a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay. So the numbers that you plug into your quadratic formula come from the standard form of your quadratic. The number or the coefficient in front of x squared goes in for each a value. Your number in front of x goes in for your b's, and your number that's left off without a variable comes from your c values. Okay. We have something inside of your quadratic formula called your discriminant. And what that does is it tells you how many solutions you have. It will tell you how many times it crosses the x-axis. Your discriminant does not tell you where it crosses. It tells you how many times. Okay? Your discriminant is this part of your quadratic formula. B squared minus 4ac. Okay? It's the piece underneath your square root. So that's all we're going to deal with today. When you plug in values into your discriminant and you get a positive answer, okay, so let's say you plug it in and you get 42. That means that you have 2 real solutions. Okay, that means that your graph crosses the x-axis 2 times.
Excuse me.
If you plug into your discriminant and you get a value of 0, this means you have 1 real solution, which means your vertex is what crosses the x-axis. Okay, so your graph kind of comes down, hits the x-axis at your vertex, and bounces back up. We've got one more situation. You can plug in and you can get a negative number. If you get a negative number, that means you have 2 imaginary
Oh, these are fake ones?
solutions. These are your fake ones. Okay. And I will show you what you do with that.
I'm eight, right?
Any questions right now? Okay, we're going to do an example of each scenario. And then what I have for you to finish today is I have a sorting activity that you're going to do in your notebook. Okay, what you do not finish sorting in class is going to be required for homework. There is no reason why you should not get most of it, if not all of it, done before you walk out of here today. Okay. All right. So let's go down here to the bottom square. Okay. So your discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is look at your equation and find your b value, your a value, and your c value. Okay. So a equals, what value is in front of x squared? 6. So all of my a's will be replaced with a 6. What number is in front of x? Nothing, so there is a 1 there. So your b value here is a 1. And what's your number all by its lonesome? Negative 15. It's minus 15, which means your c value is a negative 15. So what we do now is we take all of these values and substitute them in for your variables. Every time you plug in a number for a variable, it automatically goes in parentheses. So your first thing that comes is a b. Well, my b value is a 1. So you're going to plug in 1 squared. Notice I put my 1 in parentheses. Okay. Every time you plug in, throw it in parentheses. Minus, we have a 4. Now we have an a. You told me my a value is a 6. So we plug in 6. Then we have a c. And you told me my c value is negative 15. So again, we plug that in. And what you're going to do now is plug that into your calculator. Exactly as you see it. Parentheses and all. So plug that in and get me an answer.
I used to have these rings. Cameron Peters. They go Cam. They go Cam Peters.
Shocker. Something new and different. He always wonders the how.
Right.
What's in the years?
No.
361?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got this.
Everybody's getting 361. Okay. So when you plug this in, you should get 361. Is that a positive number, a negative number, or a 0? This is a positive number. So under solutions, this means we have 2 real solutions. Okay. When you have 2 real solutions, that means it crosses the x-axis twice. Which means 2 x-intercepts. Okay. So if you cross the x-axis twice, that means you have 2 x-intercepts. Which means your graph looks something like this. Where you've got a solution here and a solution here. What do you mean I'm cheating? Notice in this example, what is my equation set equal to? 0. Your equation must be equal to 0 before you can do anything with it. So if it's not equal to 0, you need to move everything to one side of the equal sign and make it equal to 0 before you can do anything. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Questions? Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to take this bottom corner and I want you to fold it up to the middle. Just like this. Okay.
We used to have food dreams.
And I want you to write plus, and that means 2 real solutions. That way you know what's underneath that flap.
Yes, wait.
Okay. So you get a positive discriminant value, which means you have 2 real solutions. All right, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do this bottom right-hand corner this time. Okay, take a look at your equation. We need to come up with a value for A, 1 for B, and 1 for C. My A value, again, is the coefficient in front of x squared. So what is my A value? 1. My B value is the number in front of x, which is a positive 2, and C is a 5. So, again, your discriminant is B squared minus 4AC. So, we're going to replace our B with a value of 2. Okay, so 2 squared minus 4. Now we need to replace A. Well, my value for A is a 1. I now need to replace C. My value for C is a 5. You're now going to plug your discriminant into your calculator. And we get negative 16. Okay. So if I get a negative, what does that mean? 2 imaginary solutions. So we have 2 imaginary solutions. This means does not, no, you need imaginary, does not cross the x-axis, which means there's no x-intercepts. So your graph is going to look something like this, where it's either above or below your x-axis, and it will never touch it. If you're done with that and you want to fold that corner up just the way we did to your left side, and you're going to put negative and then 2 imaginary solutions. And I'll leave this here for a minute so people can get caught up. So if you're ready to fold that up and write a negative and put 2 imaginary solutions. Everybody good with this? All right, we've got one more example to do with me, and then I'm going to show you how you're going to set up your notebook for your sorting activity, and then you have the rest of the period to work on that. All right, last one. What is my A value in this equation? There is a 1. Remember, if there's no coefficient in front of the variable, there is a 1 there. What is my B value? And my C value? 25. Okay, again, we're going to fill this in to B squared minus 4AC. So the first number we're going to plug in is a 10. 10 squared minus 4. My next variable is A, so we're going to replace that with a 1. My final variable is a C, so we're going to replace that with 25. Okay. Think about it. What's the only one we didn't do? We did a positive value, a negative value. The only one we haven't done is 0. When you plug this in, you get a 0. So, solution-wise, this means we have one real solution. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to find those solutions. And I bought some really cool things. I'm hoping they get shipped today. They're supposed to be here today. I bought dry erase sleeves. So we can put papers in them, and you can write over top of the paper and erase it. So we don't have to ruin paper after paper after paper.
You know,
I'm really excited about it.
Really, really, really bad.
Your stomach hurts really, really bad?
Yeah.
So this means we have one x-intercept, which means the vertex touches the x-axis. Okay, we have one x-intercept. And again, here's what your graph would look like. Okay, your quadratic comes down, it touches your x-axis and bounces right back up. Okay, so your vertex sits on the line.
I gotta use the bathroom.
I'll finish folding yours. Go. Because we just have to fold it and go out the outside. Go. You got this one? That's fine. There you go. Okay. When you're done with that section, if you want to fold it down to the center and write 0, and that means one real solution. Did everybody get all this information down? I'm expecting perfect notebooks this unit. Please. A's. Okay. Stop slacking. All right. Because it's fun. Okay.
Hurry up, we get the guy to go too.
What?
All right. So if you did not do this already, you're going to fold this down. And you're going to put 0 and put 1 real solution on the outside. Okay. We're also going to fold down the first one. On the outside of the first one, I just want you to write the discriminant. So I want you to write b squared minus 4 times a times c. Once you have this filled out, it's going to glue in right on the center of page 54.